I just got a little nervous. Can you believe it? Okay. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of information, Sophie. So my name is Kashi Mayatamong. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the program lead at the Sexual and Gender Minority Youth Resource Center. Houselessness is a queer issue, kind of goes hand in hand. And I think one of the largest reasons is families, parents, and guardians don't always know how to create the safest, accepting, and affirming environment when it comes to gender and sexual identity. There is a huge disparity of people that are houseless who do identify as LGBTQ, and a lot of folks think it has to do with just religion, but there are so many more aspects to accepting a young person that lives in your household. For young people and anybody really, when you are sharing something so vulnerable, it's really important to live in a place where you feel accepted, because that is creating that safe living environment for you. So if you don't have that, even if you technically have the option to have a roof over your head, sometimes it's actually not the safest option. Unfortunately, we do live in a world where we have to create that culture. There's like a whole spectrum. It's not just like people getting kicked out of their house because they're gay. There's a whole variety of different ways and meanings behind the term, houseless. We definitely always try to understand also that there's not just a disproportionate amount of queer and trans folks that are houseless, but also we are noticing high numbers of Black, Indigenous, and people of color that are young that are also houseless. So New Avenues for Youth is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the prevention and the intervention of youth homelessness. And they recognize that in the youth that are experiencing houselessness, there's a disproportionate amount of young people that do identify as LGBTQIA and Two-Spirit Plus. So we've got lots of different programs at New Avenues. And so SMIRC is basically the program that focuses on the experiences and basic needs of LGBTQIA Two-Spirit Plus people. We are a harassment-free drop-in space for sexual and gender minority youth ages 13 to 23. We also describe it as a big gay living room. So we help folks with basic needs, provide support groups, case management, counseling, food, hygiene, clothing, all of that. I've been working at SMIRC for a little under a year, but I've been volunteering here since 2016 when I was in college. What my job looks like is planning monthly programming. So when I say programming, I mean drag night, open mic night, making sure that we've got enough food donations to make dinner every night, providing like light case management, and then also creating and building meaningful, lasting relationships with the younger folks that come into our space. They come in, we do like a short enrollment, but it's really just an opportunity for you to be a young queer person and hang out harassment free. And then we also do support services and resources. And that looks like somebody coming in being like, I'm a trans masculine person and I need a binder. We have a whole community of resources here in Portland that we have trusting relationships with, so then we can refer out. In terms of nightly programming, we always have dinner, we always do group cleanup, and staff are always available to do short check-ins. Beyond that, housing assistance, employment services, internship opportunities, helping folks safety plan, coming up with coping mechanisms and goals. It's mainly just hanging out and just providing like fun programming for the night throughout the month. Currently, we're actually temporarily closed. When Multnomah County had the stay-at-home act, we did close the doors to our community center. So what they did was they had essential programs and non-essential programs. So essential programs are programs of like transitional housing. So you can't necessarily close your doors to transitional housing because people live there. SMIRC was actually deemed a non-essential program by New Avenues for Youth, which means that our young people were not able to get access to the weekly social support groups that they were a part of, the nightly meals, the gender affirming clothing, the mental health care, and just staff relationships. We did have to come up with like a new plan. But the first thing that we started doing after we closed our doors was organizing food boxes for our young people. We kind of just took all the food that we had, and then we started reaching out to young folks and asking them, do you need food? Do you need hygiene supplies? Do you need clothing? And we opened our doors for no contact pickup for the first couple of months. In addition to that, we also offered virtual support. We offer, 15 to 45 minutes of one-on-one support with a staff that you trust. We're doing that over text. We're doing that over the phone. I think that a lot of young folks just want that connection. A lot of folks that we're talking to are pretty much covered on their basic needs. In the city of Portland, we have a continuum called the Homeless Youth Continuum. So all of the organizations work together to provide wraparound support for young people. It's good to know that we're all working together, like all of the organizations are working together. What I can report just based on my experience as a staff. If you have one stable adult in your life that you trust, that you have healthy boundaries with, that believes in you, that you're more likely to succeed, especially with the high rates of suicidal ideation for young queer and trans folks. Having that one stable adult in your life is really important. Stable community and stable and predictable relationships with adults that they can trust. I think folks over time learn how to be self-sufficient and how to have healthy relationships with adults, which I think is probably a huge part about why they keep coming back. The number one main struggle that I hear people talking about, the lack of community. And you can't come to Smirk and dress and drag for the night and be your loudest, proudest self. You will miss that when you're asked to stand 6 feet apart from somebody you love or somebody that you trust and they're the only person that understands you. We might have less beds for people. Having access to the correct hygiene supplies that you need when you're living on the street. Even getting hand soap, hand sanitizer, and access to a mask can be very difficult.